my favorite subject. Again, I say it all the time, but this actually truly is my favorite subject. So, we are going to discuss sculpting. Sculpting. Anybody sculpting already? Of my new folks? No, you tried it. Never tried it. Never tried.
I tried with
The,
it wasn't, well, maybe it's different. It wasn't with acrylic, it was with polygel.
polygel, okay. Much easier to sculpt with polygel. That's for sure. That is for sure. Um,
And I still struggle.
and you still struggle. Well, it's a skill. We talked about this a little bit last week about, if you can sculpt and you get you a good clientele, they will pay just about anything. I mean, these folks that are sculpting these nails, like the ones you see in the on the screen right there, those are. I mean, now you can probably find those in like press-on shape. I actually have a set, a box of those Russian Gothic almonds, in the press-on. What do they call them? Gel X or whatever you want to call them. But those are obviously sculpted because of you can tell by the nail art, that illusion French that she got going on there. That's a very popular design. But sculpting is not easy to do, especially in the beginning. You guys, first start, you're a little intimidated, and I totally get it. I still struggle sometimes, and I consider myself pretty good at it, okay? But it is not easy. So let's talk about what we are going to learn today. All right. Let me get on the right page here. There we go. All right. So we're going to talk about why you need to learn this particular subject. We're going to talk about the advantages of using nail forms, because there are some clients that their nails are just not suitable for tips, okay? And certain shapes you're just not able to get out of tips. We're going to talk about some of the most common nail shapes requested out here. And then we're also going to talk about different qualities, and we also touched on this last week, the proper structure of a nail enhancement. Okay, we're going to go into a little bit more depth today. So, what are some of the advantages of using nail forms? Look at those beautiful nails. I think that's what I was trying to tell you about last week. We learned how to do this in class, did we not, Shayla? Mm-hmm. When we were working with the polygel. We were using polygel. Now you can do this with acrylic, but it's much more difficult. It's much easier to do it with acrylic. Okay. I'm sorry, with polygel. Sorry, thank you, my wingman over here, wing lady. Wing day. Sorry. Just want to make sure we cover all bases here. I don't want to get in no trouble. All right. So, those are beautiful, right?
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous. When we did that, what did we kind of come up with as far as how much you should charge for like one nail? Now you can do this on a tip, but
One nail was $40.
like $40, $50, because it takes a long time to achieve this look. Yeah. Yeah.
One nail.
Yeah. See, you guys, there's a whole different world out there than just these press-ons that y'all are doing. Okay. There's a whole nother world out there, and when you will start doing nails like this, you might work one day a week. Mm-hmm. That's the goal, right?
Hallelujah.
That's the goal. All right. I'm almost there. I'm down to 2. All right. So, nail forms. So many different types of nail forms out there. These happen to be one of my favorites. If you've never heard of E-Nail Coutures or Max Estrada, you again, y'all need to get into this nail world. Okay, start knowing who these celebrities. Stop worrying about Drake and Lil Kim and all. Not Lil Kim. I done told my age. Stop worrying about these celebrities and start worrying about these people, nail tech celebrities. Like me. No, I'm just kidding. Not me. Just a little bit. And yeah, so Max Estrada is amazing. He used to be Mexican, but now he is Japanese. That's what he says all the time. If you don't know who he is, you need to Google him, okay? And he has some of the best nail products out there, I will say. I love his products. Everything's pink. He's had a lot of plastic surgery, and he actually is Mexican. However, he he loves Kawaii and Japan nail art, like everything's pink and everything, he loves all that stuff. And so he actually, where are you sit? Why are you sitting over there? No, ma'am, that's where you sit on Saturdays. On Friday, right on up here where you, I was wondering where all my new folks were. What's wrong? Oh, you weren't here. Oh, we cleaned out the lockers to make sure we didn't know whose lockers was who. So I don't know, you might have to grab something from over there. So sorry. Get whatever belongs to you. Pick one. The nail forms. So many different shapes of nail forms out there, but the advantages to using a nail form, in my opinion, you are going to get the most natural looking nails out there. Why is that? Because you actually have to put this form on to the client's real nail, and whatever shape their real nail is going to take that shape. Okay, you're going to get more slimmer looking nail. Okay, and this is all with practice. And when you at first you're like, I'm not Ms. Mary, I just can't get it slim to save my life. Okay, but in my opinion, you will get a much more natural looking nail. Now, this next bullet point here, that it saves time, is one of those things that is debatable in the nail world. And I think that just comes with skill, okay? But I can tell you this, I can put a set of sculpted nails on twice as fast as tips. And for those that were here last week, why is that?
Wait, you said you could put a sculpting nail on twice. You skipping steps.
Skipping all those steps. You got to glue the tip. You got to size the tip, glue the tip, cut the tip, shape the tip, buff the tip, file the tip. Ooh, the client don't like the shape of the tip. Now you got to take the tip off, put another tip. Ooh, you cut it too short. Now you got to take that off and put another one on because the client doesn't want the rest of the nails that short. Blah, 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 blah. All of those different things can happen with tips. All right. Now, you will also have an advantage over other nail technicians because, again, I want you to just, point me out a nail tech out here that says that they're a master at sculpting. That's what they love to do. And these clients will seek out people who sculpt. My clients were looking for someone who sculpted because they had their nails sculpted before and they loved them. And so they wanted them sculpted, and they found me, and I was I didn't even have to this day, the only reason I got glue in my home studio is because of when I do these videos at home. I need them for your purposes, for you guys. But back then, I didn't even have any nail glue. So if you ask for some tips, I'd be like, I don't know how I'm going to get them on. I don't have any nail glue, okay? So having an advantage over these nail techs and charging pretty much what you want, okay? You charge just basically whatever you want. They will pay if you're good at it. If you're good at it. P.S. We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, okay, if you want to see what the students are seeing, okay? Now, there's tons of different types of nail forms out there, okay? And this one that you see on the top is going to be your disposable nail form, okay? Obviously, these are a little bit easier to use, in my opinion, than, as you can see on that bottom corner, is these reusable nail forms. Now, you've probably never seen these reusable ones. I have a set of them somewhere in this classroom, but I can't find them. They, I don't know why anybody would use them, because you can't get a stiletto shape out. They're basically going to be a square, or in my opinion, they would do great for duck-shaped nails because they flare out all on their own. You can't even really keep them in the shape that you want them to stay in because of that. So the duck, they would actually make a great duck shape. Okay. Now, not all disposable nail forms are alike. Okay. Some of them are made with paper. Some of them are made with aluminum. Some of them are made with plastic. They're completely clear. Why would you need a completely clear nail form? Does anybody know? Just off the top of your head, just not because I expect you to know, but why do you think? Completely clear nail form. No guides, no lines, no nothing. Why do you think you would need that? My seniors know? Any of my seniors? Why would you need a clear nail form? Oh, y'all make y'all be thinking I'm just let y'all work back there now. I need y'all are my co-hosts. Why do you need a clear nail form? Someone said on my live for Gel X, that's absolutely wrong.
Is
it for it to be like look natural?
I mean, they're close, but that's not really it.
For curing.
Curing what?
A nail.
A nail. What kind of nail?
Gel nail.
There you go. Okay. All right, because y'all are all using gel. Because she's just using her tongue. That's why I got the gel. What is one of the characteristics of gel, like when you put it in that light, and let's just say it's like black gel? What happens sometimes that's just so annoying?
It doesn't fully cure.
It bubbles.
It bubbles?
Or wrinkles.
Wrinkles?
Yeah.
And why does it do that? Because it's not fully cured, right? Because the light, why? And again, this is something that some of you have gotten through your entire online. Some of you have not, so this is why I'm asking. Why does the gel wrinkle or not cure fully, especially on darker colors like black and purple and randomly yellow? I don't know why, but what is that light doing? See, this is what kills me with especially not you guys, because y'all have taken the step to go to school. But half of these folks on the internet, they just using stuff and they don't know why. They do stuff because they see it on the internet, they see it on YouTube, they have no clue. And then they wonder why things aren't working the way they're supposed to work. Okay? So gel, those UV lights or those LED lights that is being emitted has to completely go through that polish or that gel in order to fully cure it. So if I think about your car, when it's hot outside and you put those shade things on your car on the glass, what happens? It's blocking the light to keep the heat from getting in, right? So it's the same thing with like gel polish or even gel nails. If you use polygel on a form that you cannot see through, it's going to cure on the top. But guess what? When you take this form off, it's going to look like bubble gum, like stuck underneath. It's going to be gel uncured underneath the form. So that's why we have forms like these, okay? Because I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different forms. Now these, you might say, oh, they're not clear, Miss Mary. Those are not clear. Yes, they are. Trust me, okay? They are absolutely clear, okay? They just have a color on top of them. So these are great for when you're working with gel, okay? So the light can see through it.
Would you have to use something like that for hard gel?
Yes. And now, if it's clear gel, this is a different story, because if it's clear, obviously, the light can come through this clear window, can it? But if it's a opaque pink gel, then you may have an issue with the light getting all the way to the bottom of this form if it's not a clear form. So when you take this off and you go to pull it back off the client's nail like this, it'll be all gummy and uncured under there. Okay? So keep that in mind when you see these forms. I mean, they make forms that literally have no lines on them. It's just a clear piece of plastic paper. Okay? And those, again, are for people who are a little bit more advanced. Can you give me one of those finger papers?
Yeah.
Both of them, so I have them up here. Okay? So you guys, I'm going to show a bunch of different types of forms for you guys. Okay? But you're going to, so that you know what different types of forms there are out there. Okay? But you all are going to be using these forms. No, right there. Yeah. These forms in class, okay? Because these forms are the ones that I can get from the nail supply, okay, in bulk. And they are absolutely the best forms anyway to use for generic shaped nails, okay? Now, we have plenty of those. So I've shown you this nail form, right? This is a clear one. This one's pretty cool, right? And I'm not trying to put it on the finger, but I guess I can. So that's the clear one there. Now I just showed y'all my favorite forms, which are by Max Estrada, okay? And that's these forms. You guys should have this on your desk. Everybody got one on your desk? Okay. These are by Max Estrada. I love these forms. What do you notice about these forms in comparison to one of these, which is, like I said, a very generic form? Shit. Get the damn thing off when you unhook it. Compared to one like this, what do you notice? Just from me putting it right there on top of the nail. This form is longer. Okay, that's one. What else do you notice? This pink one? Because here's the pink one. It's not see-through.
They have those with rounding, like the shape thing. There's like some almond little.
You mean here? Okay, so the guidelines, those are called guidelines. It has more detailed guidelines. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. What else do you notice? I feel like well, maybe y'all don't remember the newspaper, but do you guys remember in the newspaper they used to have the comic section? And in the comic section they would have the find what's different in each picture. I feel like this is what we're doing right now. Can y'all please do that? Find what's different in each one of these pictures here. What's different? The shape, yes. Okay, so we've got, what are these here? What do we call these things here on the side? Wings.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they look like wings.
I winged it.
You did, and you did it. Okay. What else do you notice? Okay, we said it was longer. We said it had different guidelines here. It's pink, right? That's one thing. It's pretty. It's got all of this little stuff on it. But what about, what in the hell is this? What are those? What are those?
Well, it looks like it would fit better under the nail.
Okay. And so why doesn't this one have it? Because this is a cheap ass form. Okay, very cheap. But what these are called are relief cuts. Okay, and don't feel like you have to go and buy very expensive forms. You don't have to, because in actuality, you can create these cuts for yourself. This is one of the problems a lot of people have with sculpting is they go to put they buy these generic forms and then they put them on. They're like, it don't fit. It don't fit the client's nail. It's not fitting. And now the nails are ending up, then they get discouraged because they don't look the way they should. Or they break and things like that, okay? So I'm going to get in more detail of how you do that in a few minutes. But I just wanted you guys to notice these things, okay? So also, you can see these numbers here. What are those for?
The length?
Yeah.
Absolutely, the length. You'll tell your client, they'll
How long?
ask, how long do you want your nails? How long? What not? And they're gonna say, in between. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick one. like you get those picky clients. They're like, in between 3 and 4. Like, what is that? 1/4 of a millimeter in this difference? But these guidelines will help you decide how long you want the nails, and also help you, assist you with shaping the nails. But these lines are more important than just that. Okay, way more important than just that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I just want you guys to be aware of what those lines are, where they are, and what they're for at this stage. We're looking from above, okay? Because we're not going to place this on the client like this, are we? Yeah. These wings wrap around the client's finger, okay? But I can't really do that on a piece of, 1D paper, like visually, okay? Now, moving right along, let's get back to our slides here. All right. We talked about this last week, okay? But since we do have a couple of people that weren't here last week, let's briefly go over this again. How do we prepare the nail for nail extensions. Anybody remember?
Wash them.
We're going to wash their hands. Please wash their hands first. That is most important. Why? Let's recap.
Make sure that there's
No debris, no ketchup, no French fry grease, no, lotion, makeup, whatever, hair spray, whatever they did right before they came in because they trying to impress you.
I said, at this point, wash their hands for them because people don't know how to wash.
That part. People don't even wash. I don't want to hold your hands I don't care if you did just wash them out at your house. You did a lot of things in between your house and on your way to me, right? Digging in your nose, scratching your butt, whatever. Okay? Wash your little nasty hands. And what do we do? What are we going to give our clients to make sure that they properly wash their hands? Because it's not just the top of their nails we concerned with. What are we going to hand them? Nylon brush. And if we need to, because you should be going and washing your hands too, go with them so you can make sure they do it right, especially if there's more than one sink, right? Go and wash your hands too. And then we're going to scrub under the nails, around the nails, and we're going to use this, okay? Not just soap and water, okay? We need a nylon brush that can be disinfected, okay? Now, what else are we going to do? We're going to push back those cuticles off of the nail plate. Where does the cuticle reside, ladies? On the nail plate, not the skin around the nail, okay? Not this crusty stuff right here. This, I just pushed my cuticles back this morning, y'all, while I was waiting for y'all, so don't talk about me. This right here is not supposed to be cut. I don't care who told you to cut it. I don't care what TikTok you saw. I also have a video that I was watching one of my favorite artists. She's an artist in LA. As a matter of fact, she created this tattoo for me, my naked lady. Okay, that's me, y'all. Told you my boobs sit up nice. But the artist, her name is Sand1. She's a Mexican artist in California. And she was on her her Snapchat this morning just talking about a gallery she was going to. And she was doing her hands like this. And she was like, "Ooh, y'all, don't look at my hands. My thumb." Matter of fact, I recorded it, but I'm on the wrong phone. I'm going to show y'all later. She said, I got an infection. My nail tech gave it to me. Baby, all this right around here was yellow and pussy. Spell that. Pussy. Okay? And she said, my nail tech messed me up. Y'all, she's lucky she didn't get sued, okay? Because her finger, I'm going to show it to y'all. It looked horrible. Anyhow, back to, we push the cuticles back. How do we, what do we do next? What do we do next? We're going to buff the nail plate. Buff the nail plate, remove the shine, okay? You do not want to use an e-file or a sanding band. Why? Why are we not using a sanding band or an e-file? It's not necessary. It's too aggressive. We want to preserve the natural nails, y'all. We don't want our clients have to get nails. We want them to, hopefully they can grow their pretty little nails out, soak them off and get an overlay, or maybe just they're strong enough where they can just get a manicure. Like, everybody would love to have their natural nails. Wouldn't you love it if your natural nails grew long and pretty and you didn't need to get acrylics? Okay, well, we don't want to destroy our clients' natural nail plates, okay? We want to preserve those at all costs. So we're just going to remove the shine with a buffer. And what does that do? What does that do? Removing the shine. Ooh, I'm about to shake some folks. Shake y'all. What does removing the shine do to the nail plate? What is the purpose of it? And what's my saying, y'all? You know it. It's on the top of your head and on the tip of your tongue. Can we paint a car that's shiny and expect that the paint's going to stick? Okay, well, I'm going to give y'all a hint. The word stick is in the phrase. If it don't, that's wrong. Wrong. If it's two, nope.
If,
Lord. Y'all been asleep.
I mean, I'm going to start
say
with,
it one more time.
I said the word slick is in there twice. Slick, and it's in there twice.
If it's slick, it'll stick.
If it's slick, it'll stick.
It
How
will
about the
stick.
opposite?
If it's stick.
If it's
Slick to slick does not stick.
Oh.
Slick to slick does not stick. You cannot apply acrylic to a very shiny, unetched, unbuffed nail and expect it to last, okay? We need that little bit of etching to remove the shine from the nail so that our products will adhere and we have longevity of our nails. I don't care how good your nail art is. If you put on a set of nails on me and they pop off the next day, I'm coming back and I'm coming back upset. I'm leaving a Yelp review. I'm calling the state board. I'm calling the city because that's what they do. Y'all haven't heard my story yet? You'll hear it eventually when we get to the state board part, okay? Yeah, I had a lady who she broke a nail. It didn't pop off. She broke it. I'm like, ma'am, I wasn't there when you broke it, but I was in Africa, and she called the city. She didn't call state board because I was licensed. She called the city. City showed up at my house and kicked me out of my house doing nails and fined me $500. Y'all better be careful working with these people. They do not like you. They like those nails you do for them for cheap in your living room. And when you don't fix them in your living room when they want you to, they're going to call the city on you. Okay, because the state board don't know you in your living room. Folks get it confused. State board don't even know you got a salon because you haven't set up your salon with them. It's the city that's going to come get you because you're running an illegal business in your house.
so they make you pay $500.
Yes, and I went to the city and begged and cried. I'll never forget. It was the day they had a solar eclipse. I missed the solar eclipse because I was in there crying to the city, begging them to let me keep doing nails in my house. And they said, ma'am, you are not going to get a business license to do nails in your house in the city of Augusta. They will not approve you. So y'all stop thinking you're going to do nails in your house. You're not. They're not legally. They're going to disapprove that business license because there's so much that goes into it. You can't just be doing nails in your house and you got neighbors next door that see people showing up to your house 5-6 times a day. They wondering what type of drugs you doing in or selling in there. Like you can't, they're not going to allow it. If you live in a neighborhood, especially with a HOA and things like that, it's not going to happen. So if you think you're going to have a she shed in your backyard, forget about it. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to legally do nails in a salon, in a suite, working for somebody or working for yourself. They're not going to approve it. Trust me. Trust me. They're going to say no. And then when they find you one time and they come back, it's a double the fine. Okay? And it just continues and continues. And then, not to mention, if they do get the state board involved, you get all these fines and you never can even get your license if they don't take it from you. They have these things called ceases and desists. Cease and desist. Stop it. Okay? So just, y'all can argue with your mama on that one or the city, because I tried it and they said no. And luckily, because I was saving so much money, I was making $500 a day. And I didn't have no overhead but my mortgage. So I took that money that I was saving. I was flying to Africa every month. Well, that stopped because I didn't have the money. I had to start paying $1,500 a month for a salon because I wasn't going to go work in nobody's space. So go ahead, get yourself ready. This is why I tell y'all, I prepare y'all for success. Y'all are paying $150 a week for school. Well, guess what? That's about the going rate of a suite, is it not?
Correct.
So get ready. Don't think that when you're done with school, you're going to stop paying that $150 a week. You ain't. It might be more than that. It might be $225. I think it was $225 where I was at.
Yeah.
Because I was at Solar Suites.
If you want a nice suite, like, don't think that you just going to be going into a suite and it's just going to be all lavish and stuff like that. You have to make it be what you want it to be. And if you want something that's luxury, you're going to pay that luxury $450 a week.
Yep.
Period.
In Atlanta, Go to Phoenix
500.
Suites, or if you want one that's not the size of a closet, let's just say you want one that's big enough where you can actually move your arms.
Yeah.
It's gonna be $300, $450 a week. If you want to share it with somebody else, it might be $500. If you don't believe me, go and holler at Solar Suites right there on Bobby Jones Expressway. I had the nice one that was 1.5 size bigger than a closet, and it was $350 a week. Okay. Otherwise, you can go work in someone else's salon, which I don't recommend doing, Shayla, because they're going to take 50% of your money, 40 to 50%. Okay. Some of them, if they're really nice, are only going to take 30, but that's probably not going to ever happen. Okay. And you're going to get a paycheck. You will be an employee. I didn't get into this to be anybody's employee. Okay. I'm not a great employee. I'm one of those people, when I am an employee, they like, you late. I'm like, so?
Right. Period.
Because you know what? I'm the boss, and I can't go back if I have to go back to working in the corporate world, I'm going to have an OnlyFans. Showing my feet. I'm going to start an OnlyFans because ain't nobody about to tell me I got to come to work on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, holidays, or I can't, no, I can't see myself going back into that world. I just can't see it. So y'all keep that in mind. Forget about your she sheds. It's not legal. Not in Augusta, Georgia. Now, it might be in Burke County or something, or Wayne, I don't know. But in this city where most of y'all reside, it's not legal. And in Aiken County, it's not legal. Okay? So, back to the subject at hand. So, once we remove the shine, what do we have on the nail plate that needs to be taken off? All that dust that you just accumulated, right? Because when you buff the nail, or buff, and you end up with all this white powder on the nail. And what are we not going to use to remove it? A big, fluffy, dusty brush that cannot be sanitized and disinfected. I got tagged in a video the other day by one of the people that were on our live last week. She made a video about this subject. She said, if you're going to a place where they're using a makeup brush, and then she said, and I heard this from Mary Negron School of Nails. And I was like, bravo, not that she's going to get me in trouble. We're going to use a nylon brush to remove the dust. This is going to make it easier to get it off anyway because these bristles are stiff. Those duster brushes are soft, and what are they supposed to be used for instead, y'all? Dusting off your table. Okay, they are makeup brushes. They are fluffy, puffy. You cannot sanitize them. Okay, and then I was reading the comments, and people were like, "It's just nails. I don't really care." I'm like, "Y'all nasty." So you'll wear somebody else's underwear, like?
And someone in the video said that's the least.
That's the. Did you see the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the least of my concerns. Oh, okay. All right. Gross, nasty. I eat at your house. All right, and then after that, we're going to apply our primer, dehydrator, and all of that stuff, right? Okay, now let's talk about these sculpted nail shapes. This is what I was talking about last week. We named about 5 or 6 nail shapes. That is not even, we're not even tapping the surface, y'all, when it comes to nail shapes, okay? Well, I mean, we got edge, leto, what is that? A Monroe, the blade, the fringe, the finch, the bridge, the almond, Russian almond, stiletto square, rounded square, pipe, Blair, all these different shapes out there that you cannot achieve properly, okay, with tips, okay? Now, yes, they do make these different shape tips out there, but you're just not going to get that shaping like that with tips, okay? It's not. All right, now, we talked about this. Let's go back over it real quick because I see some of y'all memories are real short. I mean, short. I went into this in great detail last week, and y'all were sucking it up like a sponge. And then this week, y'all like, bleh, I don't remember. Okay. What do we need to have a well-structured nail enhancement? Number 1, we need the apex or the arch. Where is the apex or the arch going to be? What is the mathematical equation that I told y'all last week about?
The beginning of the section? No. Yeah, because it's
Well, you could say the beginning of the second half of the nail or second third of the nail, but it's the.
You place a line here and a line here, and it's the first. It's a long.
You know what? Come up here and show us.
No.
Come up here and show us. Where's it go? Come on. We need a refresher. We need a refresher. Where does it go? Come on.
You know,
You the only one that's doing nails like full time and legally, so we want you to do it.
Mathematical equation.
It's a mathematical equation. If I want a nail this long, where does my apex go? We gonna do a long one this time. Come on, you got it. Break it up into what? Break it up into even three pieces, 3 even sections, as best as you can. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 parts, right? Where does the apex go?
Oh, dang. Wait.
Circle where it goes first. All right, goes right there at the highest point. Slope it on up.
I feel like it's not high enough.
It's fine. It don't need to be super high. Boom. And then straight out the rest of the way, right? Boom. So your apex goes at the.
but you didn't
And a
want to
heart.
come up here.
And a heart.
Oh, all right.
She had to do her little design. Okay. So let me bring that up a little bit. So we got the first, second, third. The first third, the second third, the third. The apex starts low here by the cuticle, and then it slopes up, and it starts at the end of the first third,
Okay.
or as Naomi said, the beginning of the second third. However you want to third it,
Yeah.
that's where it goes, right there. Okay. Now, how high it goes that's something that you're going to decide based on your style, okay, and also how, because it's gonna make that nail nice and bulky. Okay, we don't want it too bulky, and what you don't want is for it to go up really, really high, and then go really, really low, unless it's a stiletto nail. But we'll get to that in a second. Okay, now back to what we were talking about here. So we got our apex or our arch. Must have it, no matter what length the nail is. Every nail has it, even short nails. What else do we need? It's right there on the screen. Sidewalls, thank y'all. I know y'all can read. Y'all be on the internet all day. I know you can read. Sidewalls, what are those? These right here. The sidewalls, that straight line that comes out from your natural sidewall, right? That's your sidewalls. They must be straight. Okay, this is for a properly sculpted, structured sculpted nail. Yes, there are curved nails out there, but guess what? Curved nails tend to do what? Boop. Because they're curved, because they claw down like this. Let me put it up here. If a nail curves down, right? It does this number right here. Okay. What's gonna happen? Yeah, all right. Well, what's the back third of this? I mean, it's gonna be. We're gonna end up looking like this, and y'all seen them. Okay, it's a cat claw, and there's it's a look, y'all. I'm not even gonna front. I like a good natural curve on a nail, especially when I'm using a tip. The only problem with that is, where is your stress area? It's right here, right? And that nail is more likely to break. More likely. Yes, there are people out here who wear them and they don't break. Bravo. It's still not a properly structured nail, and it will break more than likely than a structured nail that is sculpted and straight. Okay, the straight sidewall. Yes, that happening.
Right there is.
It's always going to break at the weakest point. And the weakest point is where the nail attaches, okay? What else do we need? We need a clean what? underside, underneath the nail extension. And I will explain that. That's why those relief cuts are so important what I talked about earlier. Okay? We need the underside to be clean. When you lay acrylic on a form and there's a gap in between the free edge and the form, what happens when you lay the acrylic down? To show you right here. If I have a nail, this is my finger, y'all. It's crooked, ain't it? That's my finger. Yes, it is. Look. It's my finger. And it's the, where's my finger? And it's about the exact same size. I tried to do that on purpose. All right. So, if I take a form and there is a gap, let's just say I put it on like this. See, my finger is actually kind of perfect, right? It fits right under there. But let's just say it wasn't, and there's a gap right there. I put it on, and there's a gap. What's going to happen when I lay my bead of acrylic? It's going to fall through that gap, and then I'm going to have what? I'm going to have a little, like, it's going to be stuff under there.
They call it a shelf.
A shelf?
Yeah.
It's the lower shelf, the bottom shelf. You got a little shelf of acrylic under there. That's a very good word. Thank you, Shayla, my wingman. You have a shelf of acrylic under there. So now you got more acrylic under here than you do on top of the nail. Or even a little bit as it starts to grow out, that shelf, it starts to grow. And then you've got a gap under here where your natural nail is, and everything but the kitchen sink gets stuck under there. And you got a little piece that gets your hair gets caught on. So that at that point, now it starts to annoy your client. They're picking at it because I'm a picker. Oh, baby, I will pick and pick and pick to get that out from under there. Okay. So that you do not want. You want to have a clean underside of the nail. And then the last but not least, we want our C curves. The thickness is very important. And what did we say? We want the thickness. The thickness, bare minimum.
A card.
What kind?
An Amex.
Amex Platinum card. Okay.
What does it say? Is it millimeter?
It's like it's about 1 millimeter to no more than 1 millimeter. Let's see, because I have some ruler. This is y'all. We're gonna be doing some stuff today. Okay. We talk about a millimeter in thickness. That's a millimeter. That first little line.
Would this be okay? Or is that too?
That's a little thick.
That's
That's a little thick. See, 'cause when we talk, that's about 2 millimeters there. See that? That's about almost 3. Okay, but a millimeter, no more than 2 millimeters in thickness, y'all. And when you start, I mean, this is not so important, you know, in salon style nails, but when you start doing nails that you win competitions with, they measure that stuff. They go around and they're taking a caliper, which I have a pair. I don't know if I didn't have this last week. This is a caliper, y'all. Okay? Y'all see this little thing here? If I pinch this nail, these are Gel-X nails. If I pinch this nail on the side, I can tell how thick it is right here. Look at that. Right at 2 millimeters. You see that? And they take this caliper when you do competitions, and this has to be equal on all sides. So now the tip of this nail, and I'm kind of deep, and plus I have polish on it, y'all. When you're doing competitions, you don't put polish on it. It's all acrylic, okay? You put your clear top coat, but this has 3 layers of top coat and polish. This is showing me that it's like right at 2 millimeters of thickness, okay? So I'm not telling you to go and buy one of these and have, this is calipers, y'all, go and be doing that on your clients. But I can tell you this, if I was charging $500 for a set of nails, I would be measuring it and checking it, okay? So those are calipers. Again, for the folks on TikTok that are saying, show us, make sure you go to my YouTube page. You can see exactly what they're seeing, okay? So that why this thickness, this very thin 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter thickness. Y'all, some of y'all seen these thick the really, really, really thick nails.
Thicker girl.
Yeah, we talked about her last week. There's a nail tech called Thicker Girl on TikTok. She specializes in thick nails. I don't know why anybody would pay money for that, but I mean, it's a thing. You know, it's a look. I said that about duck nails too, and y'all love them things. All right? And as far as the length, there is a such thing as nails that are too long. But what did I say last week? What do we say? Because some clients wear their nails super those, what do they call them? Extendos. And they don't break them. What was the phrase I said? Because the client's going to ask you, well, how long should I wear my nails? Or what's too long? There's a such thing as nails being too long for your lifestyle. Y'all going to be wanting to know the answer to these questions when you sitting in front of the state board screen. Y'all better start sucking this information up. Y'all need coffee or something? I need to start bringing coffee in here. Wake y'all up. Y'all drink coffee? Yeah? So I should bring some. I need a coffee machine. We need some caffeine in here. Red Bull gives you wings. All right. You're going to remember this stuff. You got to remember this stuff. Now, that's all that you guys need to know for the sculpting chapter, okay? But now let's talk. Now we're going to do some visual stuff, okay? So before I do that, I want to show y'all some different shape forms that are out there. Ooh, I'm ashy. Crusty. Okay. So there's all kinds of forms out there, and just full disclosure, I was working on getting my own forms, and so these are samples that they sent me from the factory. Okay, you can have your own forms made too for the nice price of about $5,000 for because you got to buy like 1,000 rolls minimum for them to print them for you and all that stuff. So I never got around to it because ain't none of y'all paid in full. But when they do, I'm going to get that booty first. Told y'all. First. But they wrote on the back of here what the materials were and the thickness, how thick the forms are, because that's very important. I will tell you the best type of forms out there are ones that have aluminum or some type of foil. Okay, they're not just paper. Okay, and they're not going to, and those plastic ones are very hard because they don't, they pop open. But this one in particular, this one, you want to have a nice wing on it, okay? The bigger the wing, the better, if you ask me, okay? Why do we want that wing to be big? Where's those thin ones like this? Are they in here? Because y'all seen these before, right? They sell these in the nail supply, like Sally's and stuff. They come in the little at-home kits and stuff like that. These are the worst forms ever. There ain't a wing nowhere on there. Now, these, what we used to use these for back in the day, they would use them for airbrush. They would put this on here like this and spray, and then they would airbrush, and then we'd take it off, and you'd have, not that part, they would do it here, right here, sorry.
Crispy French.
Yep, they would be like, no, this is not even crispy. That's the 1990s French, not the French they wear nowadays. Where are those forms of those flat square? Here they are. So you got that form, right? Where's my finger? It'd probably be better if I put it on my finger. And this one is a version of this one, right? But there's no wing on this one. Have y'all seen these before? These particular forms. So when you get ready to close this on a finger, there's no wing on it. So when you go to close it, how do you get a square nail on this? How will you get a square nail? Because when you close it, it's going to turn it to what shape? Coffin or stiletto, depending on how long you make it. Okay? So, and plus they pop open. Look, if you don't have a good adhesion here, look, it just pops open. And that's, you don't want forms that do that. That is so annoying when you take and put it on all your clients' fingers and they pop open. Okay? So, I only have those for teaching purposes. We do not use them. Okay? At all. See, here's some. These are some different shapes that they have out there, okay? Choose forms that have guidelines that are universal, meaning you can get a square, you can get an almond, you can get a coffin shape. All of those are helpful to have on a form. But once you get used to sculpting, you don't even see those lines anymore. And those lines are not the most important ones, okay? The ones that are the most important are the ones that run this way, okay? And I'm going to show you that on this paper in a second. But these are all different shape forms out there. These are my favorite shape for stiletto, period. Okay, favorite shape. See all these different ones. So, you know, pick what you like. All right. I prefer. Yeah, here's some aluminum ones. These are made out of aluminum. These have, and they hold their shape. Okay. And why would you need an aluminum form to hold its shape? Especially, you'll need that especially with competition nails, and I'm gonna open up the door to that in a minute as well. But again, these are all aluminum forms. What is that? All right, these are all aluminum forms, okay, and all these different shapes, okay, different lengths, different shapes. Now, like I said, the most important lines are going to be the ones that are on the side, okay? Let me see this one. Okay. So, let me zoom in here. Notice on these forms, you see these lines right here that go straight out. Where's my ruler? They go straight out, okay? You want this line to be in line with the center of the finger, okay? Or you're going to get a nail that does not have a straight sidewall. Okay, what do I mean the center of the finger? This part of the finger. This is very important, okay? The center of my finger, let me get straight on the screen, okay? The center of my finger runs right here, okay? See that? Straight out, okay? That form these lines need to match up or run parallel. We all know what the word parallel means. The difference between horizontal and parallel. Parallel means they run beside each other. Okay, so that means if I have the lines do not cross at any point. Okay, y'all didn't think y'all was gonna learn no math in here, and trust me, I'm not that good at it, but I do know a straight line when I see one. Okay, so I've taken this form and I've pretty much folded it in half. Okay, now what I mean by parallel is this line right here at the top. If I tilt it down, will this line cross over that top line? Yep. Y'all see what I'm talking about? I'm talking about if I draw a straight line, meaning a line from here to here, it's eventually going to cross right there, isn't it? So we want the lines to be parallel with the center line of my finger. So when I put this form on, I'm going to place it. I'm not trying to line these lines up, y'all. That is not what I'm trying to do. They are a guide to let me know that my form is on straight. Meaning, when I put this on, I'm going to shove it up underneath my nail bed right there, right? So there's no gap. Well, if I tilt it up, would any of those lines cross that middle line? Absolutely. At some point, whether it's down here or up here, whatever, it's going to cross that blue line in the middle. So when I put this form on, I'm using those guidelines to let me know that my form is on straight, okay? I'm not using these guidelines to line it up with that middle line. That's not going to ever happen perfectly, okay? But what I am doing is trying to make sure that this form is on completely straight, okay? The lines need to be parallel. Does that make sense? So there is one exception to this. When you put your form on, the only time you're ever going to want to tilt it is if you're doing an exotic shape. For instance, a stiletto nail is an exotic shape, you all. Okay? I don't care what nobody says. A stiletto nail is sculpted. If you want a properly shaped nail, stiletto nail, it will be sculpted. Why? It's so important that the C curve goes all the way to the tip of the nail, okay? Meaning, if your client says, I want my nail to be sculpted to this number 6 right here, okay? Let's just say she wants it that long. Well, if you do a stiletto nail, you're going to end up having your nail tip up, isn't it? Your stiletto is going to tip up. And then let's just say we started here. It's going to tip up. Is that nail going to break? Do we have a straight sidewall? Is our sidewall straight? No. Not at all. It's tilting up. We don't want that. That is not going to work. Oop, that's not going to come off. I need water or alcohol swab or something. Okay, so let me use this one as an example. So with square nails, it's going to be straight. With coffin nails, it's going to be straight. Okay? But with stiletto nails, we're going to tip it down a little bit. Okay? We'll tip it down some. Ooh, that's awful.
That's worse.
That's awful. Hold on. I got my little spray right here. Okay. It's supposed to work. It's supposed to work. There we go. And it didn't.
It didn't work. It's probably because of the paper.
I need acetone.
Yeah.
All right. So, because it's plastic, that's why. So what we would do for a stiletto nail is we would tip it down a little bit, okay? And so the client says they want a 6 to the 6 length, that would be here. And then we're going to make sure that that's to that 6 length, that it's in the middle center line of the nail. So where's the center line? Again, this is all structure, y'all. Oops. Structure. So it would, to the 6, it would go there. We would tip our form down to that, right there, to that length. And then the stiletto, it will tip down a little bit. Oh, I'm at the corner of my nail here. Okay. And then the stiletto would down a little bit. But this is still straight. Can you see that that's still straight? The line is still straight from my sidewall. Okay, so I don't want to confuse you all, but I just want you to know that these guidelines is what's most important. There we go. So you need acetone on the plastic paper. Those guidelines are very important. And there are instances where you would tip a form up. And that's, again, an exotic shape like the edge nail. For instance, if you wanted a nail because you want the tip of the nail to be thinner with an edge nail, and it's going to have a rib that goes down the middle of it. I'm not going to get that. That's an exotic sculpting class that I will do outside of school if you guys want to attend that. Now, when you are placing the form on, how do we place the form on a nail? And I'm going to use the ones that you guys are going to be using in school, so it makes more sense. Okay, I've got a little fake finger here. First of all, this free edge needs to be as short as possible. Your client might come in and they're going to say, I want my nails sculpted, but what if they've got nails this long already? And they're like, I want you to sculpt on that. Can you sculpt on that? Some of y'all will try, right? And what will end up happening? Well, first of all, I can't get my guidelines straight because this nail is that going to be straight? Look at my guideline. Is it tipping down? All of this is sloping downward, okay? So in order for me to get the form on, I got to trim the client's nail down as low as possible. Low enough where you can just get the form on. Now, what's this little piece right here for? This is the hole that your finger goes in. What I like to do is take this little piece and put it on the back side of the nail here, okay? I mean the form. Why? So I can get these are not aluminum forms, okay? They're paper with a shiny, not even a foil top. See how I'm rocking it like this? Why am I doing that? most people have a little bit of a curve on their nail here, right? So if you don't rock it and give it a little bit of a curve, it's going to be harder to put on, okay? Now, this is going to make it easier for you to get, if you do it like this, start by taking your form and pinching it just a little, y'all. Just a little, not way back here. Don't close it because you won't be able to get the finger in there. Just enough so that you can hold it, okay? When you have your client in front of you, you'll take this, tilt it down a little bit, okay? And then you're going to go under their free edge and then move this up. Now, notice, are my guidelines down the center of the nail? Are my guidelines straight?
So they sleep.
I know they sleep. I don't know. They or they're not looking at this. They're looking at something else.
Before class start.
Are the lines straight? Look at this bottom black line. This bottom line. Is it going downward or is it straight?
It's going down.
You see right. Your eyes are not playing tricks on you. So if I close this, let me lay it on the paper so you guys can see. Okay. If I close, now that I've got it closed, can you see that it's sloping down? Is that form on properly? No. What do I need to do to it? I need to tilt it up. And how am I going to tilt it up? I've got that paper. It's not open in the back. Right? I have it, and some of y'all will put it on this way. And when you first start doing nails, it seems easier to have this back part closed. But you're going to get a nail that doesn't have straight sidewalls, does it? If you follow that guideline, your sidewalls are going to go, aren't they? So what we need to do when we place this form on, open up the back. That's why there's these little perforations there. You guys, you do realize the only thing you have to do at State Board is sculpt the nail, right? So yeah, y'all need to wake up. Make sure you're paying attention. When you put this on, that needs to be open. And now look, see that gold line? Is that straight or is it tilted down? It's straight. Okay. And then you're going to make sure and see how we got a gap there. It would have never, that's all, we got a little gap in there. But we don't care about that. What we want is for these guidelines to be straight. And when you look at it, you'll say, no, it's tilting up. Is it tilting up or is it not? Those guidelines are telling me that it is straight. It's not tilting up. It's an optical illusion. Okay? That guideline is what is going to tell you whether or not this form is on straight or not. Okay? Not your eyeballs that are playing tricks on you. Okay? So, we also want to make sure, you see this middle guideline here? That line is going to help me determine if this form is on straight or not. Okay? Don't worry about how pinched it is or that it's centered. Okay? So when you're putting the form on, 9 times out of 10, you're looking at the client from this view, right? You're looking at the client's finger from this view. But you can't just put it on, slap it on, and it's on. Oh, now it's on straight. You got to turn your client's finger, make sure that's if you want it to be properly structured. Most of the time, the reason why nail techs do not do sculpted nails is because they don't know how to put the form on properly, okay? Now, because I have closed this form, because it doesn't have big wings, when I close it, it's not going to give me a nice square nail like I want, is it? It's not. Now, it might if my client only wants a nail this long, isn't it? But what if the client says, I want my nails this long? Am I going to get a square shape out of it? Nope. What shape am I going to get? I'm going to get coffin, okay? So that's why having quality forms that have nice big wings, why they're they have a place in the nail world. So let me show you For instance, this one. This is another one that I really, really like, okay? When I fold this and I close just the tip of the wing here, look, this is still open. I might could even get a duck nail out of this one if I wanted it really long, right? So choose your forms based on the type of nails you're doing, okay? If you're one of those nail techs that does short, square, short almonds, short coffins, you're not really doing anything really, really extremely long, then you can get away with just using forms like this that are much cheaper and easier to find. But if you're doing extendos or you're doing nails that are longer than normal, and you're doing exotic shapes, you're going to want to get you some forms like this, okay? Now, does that make sense? Now, what if my client says she wants a stiletto nail? What am I going to do with the form? You're going to close it completely to where? Naomi, you said just to the tip right here, right? But what if my client wants a shorter nail, a shorter stiletto? What if she wants the stiletto to here? Am I going to get a stiletto, or are you just going to make it go, form your acrylic just to right here? What do you think will happen if you do that? If you just pinch it right here at the tip only, because you look at that and you're like, oh, I'm going to get a stiletto. I'm going to get a stiletto. You're only going to get a stiletto if your client wants their nail to here. The way you would get a stiletto at a shorter length is I would have to do what? Pinch it to the length the client wants. Make sense? Okay? Pinch it to the length that the client wants. Now, if the client wants a coffin, what do? Client wants a coffin-shaped nail. What do? I'm going to pinch it a little bit. Now, with a square, we want it completely open, don't we? Why would we want it completely open? Because we need that shape to go all the way, no matter what. This is the easiest one to do, because you just keep this part open, and then you would form it to the length the client wants, right? Now, if I want a coffin, we would pinch it, kind of like a stiletto. Just pinch it, and this is where it's going to depend on you. Do you want a narrow coffin, or do you want a ballerina? To me, there's a difference between ballerina and coffin, right? Do y'all know what the difference is? Coffins are wider. Think about what a coffin looks like, okay? And we're not talking about today's standard coffins, because they're kind of square, aren't they? Haven't been to a lot of funerals, but most of them are square. But those Halloween-style coffins that you see, vampires and all that, they have a more narrow top, right? So if I were to draw that, a coffin would be, a regular coffin would probably be something like this. Okay? Bring it in a little bit, right? But in my opinion, a ballerina is going to be way more narrow than that. Okay,
That's like a tapered square.
A tapered, yeah, because to me a coffin is a tapered square.
Yeah.
Okay, very tapered square, because it's not square. There's no such thing in geometry as a tapered square. It's either square or it's not. Okay, so where you pinch this is going to depend on how narrow and what length your client wants. So if they want a really, really long nail, say to here, and they want it to be a ballerina, you might pinch it a lot so that it's very slim. But if they wanted it, to be shorter and a coffin, you'd probably still leave it like that, but this part is going to be much wider, right? Mm-hmm. Now, y'all see the difference between these two, which I showed you earlier. We've got these little cuts on the side here. We've got these little cuts here, but we don't have those on our gold forms. Now, those relief cuts, they have a purpose. When you've got a client that has a very wide nail, okay? For instance, the thumb is usually the hard to fit these forms on, okay? Y'all know what I mean when I say muffin top nails? When you lay your acrylic and the acrylic covers up the sidewalls. You need to be able to see these sidewalls on your nail to make them look good, okay? So what happens with forms like this that do not have the relief cuts, I'm going to show you on this finger here. What happens when you put this on, let me put this form together. This makes it easier to make, because your form has to be put together evenly, as even as possible, or you'll get a crooked nail. Okay? When I put this on and put this underneath the nail, you'll notice, and I'm going to try to make sure it's straight. Here we go. Make sure it's as straight as possible here, okay? You'll notice that when I lay my acrylic, if this form is sticking out on the side, you see how I can see the form sticking out? If I can see the form, which I don't have this on good. Hold on. It's a plastic finger, y'all, so it don't really want to stick, okay? You'll notice with this generic form that this part right here bulges a little bit. And if it bulges, you can't get that nice thin 1 millimeter nail that you want, right? You're going to end up with a nail that has big old fat sidewalls like this right here that hangs off the side of your pants when your pants are too tight. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Well, ain't nobody in here really got that problem. I got it.
I do.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, that little muffin top that hangs over the top of your jeans when they too small. That's what happens with forms like this, because if I can see this line, when I look at from the downward angle, if I can see that line, then that means the form is too fat, it's too wide. I'm going to have muffin top nails. And this is going to make sense in a second, okay? Now with this form that has the cutouts, okay? With this form that has the cutouts, these are called relief cuts. I call it the Snapchat ghost. Kind of looks like the Snapchat ghost, don't it? Yeah. Right? That is going to make it so when I put this form on, look at how it looks on my finger. When I close it, look, the form disappeared. You cannot see it. And now I'll have acrylic on the side. I can make it thin. It's not going to be bulging, okay, out. Does that make sense? Everybody see what I'm saying? All right, so when I put this form on, because it just happens to fit my thumb really, really well. When I put this form on and I close it completely, those little relief cuts make it so this form can be closed completely, and now I can get a nice slim, y'all see how skinny and slim she is? Well, look at it with this one, without the relief cuts. Now, you can do this yourself. I'm about to show you how. Y'all know them scissors that these Russian nail technicians, I can't wait to tell y'all the story about that in a minute when I'm off live. Look, you see how the form is, you see how the form, you can see it? So now I'm going to get an extra wide nail here. It's going to be wide. Now, this is one thing if you're trying to, I guess, sculpt a duck nail or whatever, but we're not sculpting duck nails. No, I want my little one. I want my skinny one. Y'all know these scissors that y'all see people using to trim cuticles? That's not what they're for. There you go. Okay, these right here, these are not for trimming cuticles. Okay, they are for trimming nail forms. Okay. So what you would do to create that relief cut, first of all, I need to, I don't want to cut myself. These are sharp. I'm going to leave that alone for now. But what you would do is you're going to do a 45-degree angle cut, okay? 45 degrees from where the sidewall meets the form, okay? And let's look at this on the paper so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's a side view. What I mean is 45-degree angle, that's half, okay? That means we're going to tilt this down, and we would cut it here, okay? A little cut right there. Y'all see what I'm saying? So then that's going to make this open up. And we'll get that Snapchat ghost if you look at it from this angle. We would cut it here, and then this would open up. Y'all see? So now, what I'm going to do on this form, same thing. I'm going to take it, and I would be doing, if I flip this the other way, it would be, y'all can see, but I'm cutting my own finger here, okay? So you would take your scissors, the curved part here, take it and very carefully, boom, there, boom, right there. Now look what happens. This opens up, and when you pinch, where'd the form go? Now I can get that nice slim nail that I'm trying to achieve, okay, that has a good structure and that looks good rather than one that's thick and fat and extra thick, okay? Sorry, thicker girl, I ain't with it, okay? So that's what you would do on a client if you had a client that had very meaty fingers. Anybody, y'all done seen people with the skin is just like, it's way out here. It happens on thumbs. Maybe they've got a really wide finger, okay? That's how you would do it. Does that make sense? Okay, so what you guys are gonna do today, which we haven't been able to locate our sticks. I don't know what happened. Oh, you found them?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you guys are gonna do
Give me that one.
is you're going to glue a tip, and we've got plenty, and please use the tips that that aren't 1, 2, 1, 2, and 4, the other sizes like a 0 or a 3 or something like that, okay? I'm going to demonstrate this on the wooden stick, okay? This is a 0. Somebody took my glue. If it's one that's already open, that would be helpful. Now these are kind of, they kind of ate up. It don't even really matter because you're gonna glue a tip on there. Is it coming out? If not, we'll just open it. Whenever I teach this class, I make a mess up here, like a whole mess. Okay, it should come out now. All right, so this is just a wooden clothespin, old school clothespin stick. Okay. And what you're going to do, you don't have to put it on the knob. You don't have to. You can put it on this side if you want to. But what you're going to do is you're going to glue one of these tips to the wooden stick. This is the best way to practice this. Now, if you guys want to put it on your hand, and then you have to soak your fingers off and all that stuff, go right ahead. I showed y'all last week how to do that, right? How to put I think I showed it on Saturday class. I didn't show it to y'all. How to put the tape on the fingers to make it easier to pop them off. Okay, so you glue your tip on here, and then you're going to do your prep, right? Go ahead. Well, how do we do our prep? Well, you need to take the shine off. Get you a buffer. Get you a buffer. Remove the shine. Now you'll notice this fingernail is way too long from here. This client got a long free edge, and you see how it's starting to tip down? Can I get straight lines if my client's fingernail tips down? Absolutely not. What if the client's finger dips up and they've got a long free edge? Dips up, swoops up, and they got a long free edge. Y'all seen those people, they call them spoon nails or whatever, they spoon up a little bit. And they got a long free edge, that white part. We got to trim that, okay? You have to cut that. I think I got some clippers in here. If not, I had some in here. All right. So we got to trim that. So I'm going to use some nail clippers, and I'm going to trim my client's nail just enough so that I've got a free edge close to my client's hyponychium, okay? And you can go ahead and shape this. Go ahead and shape it a little bit. You don't want this side part sticking out. You're not going to be able to get a nice straight nail. See her sidewall? See her sidewall here? If this dips down, I won't be able to get the form on. Okay? Go ahead and trim this nice and short so that it's going to go on straight. Now that I've buffed it, and shape it. I need some monomer and some powder. I got powder. I just need a little dampened dish with monomer. All right, so I'm going to put my form on. What am I going to do? I'm going to take this little button out right here, this little circle out right here. Okay. Go ahead. Make sure this part is together, nice and straight. And you'll know when you turn it on the other side, you don't see any white there, do you? You don't see any white here, so I know it's straight. Okay. Open up the back. Open it up. Open up them legs, girl. All right. All right. And then we're going to put this up underneath the free edge. Make sure it's straight. Make sure the side guidelines are straight as well. Make sure. Hold on. About right there. Close it all the way, and you want to make sure you are closing it all the way up to the bottom of your client's finger, and that's right here. Okay, if you don't close it as much as you can, it's just gonna pop open. Okay, and then we're going to lay our acrylic, just like you guys have been doing on tips. What is the difference between a tip and a form? Besides the more difficult part of getting it on there. What's the difference? You laying acrylic on top of a plastic tip that's glued on top of a nail. What's the difference on the form? It's just under the nail. What's the difference? Nothing. It's just under the nail versus on top of the nail, okay? So, I'm going to take this, and I need a little paper towel. I got one right here. That's what I was using to... I'm going to take my powder here. And y'all, this is just a big container of my powder. All right. Let me zoom out so y'all can see. Zoom out a little bit. All right. And my brush. This is one of my brushes. When you lay acrylic on a form, you're not going to do this one bead, big old one bead method. You need to attach the tip to the form first. So where am I going to lay my first bead? Anybody know?
Right above the free edge.
Right here at the connect point of the form and the nail. Okay, that's important, especially when you start doing this and your clients moving and touching stuff. My advice to you: only do one hand at a time. Only apply your forms one hand at a time. Why? Because if you put all 10 on, they're going to be trying to text. They're going to scratch their head. They're going to scratch, and then you're going to be upset because the forms have popped off and shifted, and you see how difficult it is to get them on in the beginning when you first start straight and all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to apply this first bead. Okay. What I sometimes do is lay it backwards because I want to blend it. Okay, and so I can swoop back like this. Yep. That's just because you want to blend everything into the tip. You don't want a big bump. Remember when we're laying it on paper, right? We don't want big bumps. So we're going to let that flow, let it get smooth. See the sides? It's starting to slide down. Slide it up. Don't let your acrylic run you, okay? Slide it up. Blend it back. And depending on the temperature of the room is how fast it's going to cure, okay? How slow it cures, whether you're using odorless or regular monomer, okay? You're going to chase it a little bit in the beginning. Okay? I want this nail to be short and sweet, so I'm going to use my guidelines. Just like we did on the paper. Y'all remember this, right? This is not any different. If you can do it on that paper, then you can do this.
Told y'all. Had to recite it. If I could do it on the paper, I could do it on the...
Okay, because that's all this is a piece of paper. Okay? So now I've created my tip. Have I not? Now I'm going to go in, pick up another bead. I'm going to give it a chance to polymerize a little. It's a little cold in here still. So I've created my tip, and I know nail techs that do this. They create their tip on all 10 and then take the forms off and then put the rest of the acrylic on, because it's just like laying acrylic on the tip at that point. Okay, so now I'm going to go here, press out the monomer into the bead, just like we did on the paper. Let it flow a little bit. All right, clean your brush. This is not new, is it? Is this new? This is not new. Press, 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 press. Press it out. We don't want the tip too thick, okay? Press everything out. Clean your brush. Make sure your sidewalls are lined up. Are they lined up? I'm not trying to use this line here. I'm using my sidewalls as a guide. You can smooth this out. Use your brush. Fix your tip so it's not uneven. Lay your acrylic like you don't have a file. See how I'm doing this? I want to shape my nail. See, you guys would still be filing and shaping your tips while I'm over here shaping my tips with my acrylic and my brush. Okay, so now that I've got that on there, that's my second bead. Go in with a third bead. Tilt the nail forward. Push it right there to the cuticle area. Drop it. Clean your brush. See how it's smoothing? It's polymerizing. Now I'm going to control my acrylic. I'm holding it at an angle. This is what y'all be talking about, sealing the cuticle or whatever. I don't know. Just be making up stuff. Sealing the cuticle with what? Okay. And then I'm going to brush this forward and smooth it out. Now this is so much easier on not on these sticks. So if you want to put it on, because it's sliding down a little bit, if you want to put it on your mannequin hand, you can. Because they get a little thick at the tip with these well, you'll file and shape all of this with your file if you have to. Just remember, at state board, you're going to do it on a mannequin hand, and you don't want this really, really super thick because you got to remove it. You got to soak it off. So the thicker it is, the more you got to soak. Now I'm going to do another bead at my cuticle area just because I don't have enough acrylic there. Is where picking up those smaller beads, learning how to pick them up is very important. Right at the cuticle. And then blend that down. Okay. Now we're going to let that cure. So this is what I mean by muffin top nails. This one I didn't do any relief cuts. So doesn't that nail look wide on the sides? That ain't, so you'll have to file that a lot. If you have a form that has those relief cuts, or if you make those relief cuts in advance, then you won't have that problem. It won't look so wide. But, this is a salon style nail, okay? There's some nail techs, they sculpt, but the salon style is not going to be those super slick Russian or exotic shapes. You're just not going to get those, okay? And most people they're not charging what they should be anyway for sculpted nails. Okay, close everything up before you get ready to start filing. Now, how do I know when this nail is cured and ready to file? Clickety-clack. If I tap on it, well, right now, what's another characteristic? It's going to be it's shiny right now. If it was ready, it would be matte. Okay, so when you're at state board, you got 20 minutes to do one nail. Some people can do a whole set in 20 minutes. I mean, nearly, at least lay the acrylic application, okay? So you got plenty of time. Don't rush it, okay? You don't know what the temperature is going to be like in that room, so sit there and wait. You can see it's starting to get matte, isn't she? Now, what we mean by the clickety-clack sound, it should sound like this. Before you take the form off, because if I take the form off right now, what can happen?
You're not gonna see
It's going to sink or collapse, okay? If I go to pull this off right now, it could completely just change the shape. It'll be leaning, and you can be fighting with it, okay? So give it time. Do not take it off until, and when you're doing a full set of nails, you're working on the other fingers while this one's curing, okay? So you're never going to be just sitting there waiting for one nail, okay? But you see how it sounds hollow? There's no click-clack sound. All right, definitely don't click on it until it at least goes matte. But it's matte now, and it's still not cured, is it? It's getting there. Almost. But you want it to sound like this. Okay? So, at this point, we can do what's called pinching the C-curve. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Because there's lots of tools out there. You've probably seen these before and didn't know what they were for. What's this? A C-curve pincher, C-curve, whatever you. This is what you do to. This is what you use to pinch. This can be very painful if you don't put it on properly. Okay, where do we pinch a C-curve? Some of y'all would say you do like this. Don't do that. You're gonna take this pincher. If you guys, when you get skilled at this, you got to do it while it's in the polymerization phase. You're gonna pinch it at right where we would have made those relief cuts, right here, okay, at a 45-degree angle. You don't want to be pinching it like this, okay? We're going to pinch it at a 45-degree angle, like that. Make sense? Because where does our C-curve need? Now, I pinched it, and it's not cured yet, so it's going to give you a dent, so you got to wait. There's a sweet spot. There's a certain time when you can do this. There's other ones out there like this. Let me grab me one of those. Y'all probably seen these before. Y'all seen these before? Well, I put tape on mine. Here's one that don't have tape on it. Okay. Ever seen these before? They don't use these just for paper clips. Okay. You can take this right here, put it on the nail, like so, and it will pinch a C-curve in there. There's so many different ways to do it. Some nail techs will put this on when it's ready, and they'll have 2 or 3 of these, and they leave it on there for a few seconds. Okay, that's an advanced technique. Tammy Taylor uses her thumbs. She takes the client like this and gives even pressure onto the sides of the nail right here. Works just as fine. Don't try to do this, though, because you're not going to get your thumb. Now, if you feel the nail, I can feel the heat on this nail right now. That is when polymerization is happening. That means if I wait until this nail gets cold, I'm not going to be able to do no pinching. It will be pinching and be very painful to my client. Now, you notice when I pinch, what happened to this nail? Did the muffin tops go away a little bit? Yeah, they did. You see it? A little bit. They slimmed out some. Now, is this nail ready to file? Let's see. Y'all hear it? That's when you know that you can take this form off. Now, how do we remove a form? Do we just snatch it off? Please don't. You're going to cause your client lots of pain, okay? Now, you're going to pull this back, pinch the tip a little bit, and then pull down like that, okay? Now, you can see, does that nail have a C-curve or what? Now, that's a smile line, a C-curve for you, baby. Now, you're not going to get that out of a tip, okay? Now, she a little thick, though. Ain't she a little thick? She a little thick. We don't want that. So what I do, remember my filing technique. What are we going to do first? What are we going to do first, y'all? Are we going to file the nail and shape it and all that stuff? File the top of it and all around the cuticle and stuff? What do we file first? Think about your tips. You're going to shape that nail into the shape that obviously I laid the acrylic in a square shape, so I want my nail to be shaped square. So I'm going to do my side and see acrylic, sculpted nails, they always look worse before they look better. Okay, like my clients, when they never had sculpted nails before, they're like, is this supposed to look like that? I'm like, yeah, girl, this is my first time doing it too. You didn't know it's supposed to look like that? Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look. Look at that. Look at that hook under there. Okay, we don't want that. We want to file that away. All right, so we're going to take our file, hold that, and we're trying to look at that. We want that to be straight. completely straight. Okay, don't hold your file like a pizza cutter. You want a square, you want to cut a square piece of pizza, you want to cut that, use your file like that, okay? Completely straight. Isn't that much better? Much better. All right, so let's go to the other side. This is where your side walls come in, okay? We want those side walls to be completely straight. See that? Now the tip. And you can turn your client's hand around and look at it from this angle and make that nail completely square, okay? So now when I look at it, just from the shape, the nail is square. We need to get, now we need to eliminate some of the bulk off the sides. Remember who was I telling last week? I'd rather you have more acrylic on the nail than not enough. Because I can chisel, it's like when a sculptor, literally sculpting on a piece of wood, or a piece of concrete, trying to sculpt a face into it. Don't it start off as a square block? You chisel into it. Now the goal is for you to lay it perfectly, right? Y'all see these nail techs, perfectly laid. Bravo, we can tell you've been practicing. But in the beginning, you're gonna have something that looks something like this, okay? Now, I'm going to remember the filing technique. Stick to the tip only. We wanna make sure that this tip is thin. It's too thick right now, right? So what I want to do, I'm going to take my client's finger and I'm going to twist it. This is why they need to relax, honey. Relax your hand. I need to twist it and turn it. Notice that my hand is not moving. It is braced on this table. What I'm doing is I'm twisting the client's finger, okay? And we're going to thin this tip down. That's the most important part. I want the tip to be somewhat, close to 1 millimeter or 2. Now, I'm not going to measure this with my calipers or nothing, right? But take a look. You see what's happening? See, it's starting to thin out, and I still got my C-curve in there. We want it to be thin on both sides and the top. And just full disclosure, y'all, I am using, I think this is an 80 grit file. Because at State Board, you're going to want an 80 grit when you get ready to remove that acrylic. I'm not concentrating on the cuticle area at all. I'm just concentrating on the tip. See how she's thinned down some? Look at that. She's still a little thick for me, especially on the sides here. We want that muffin top gone. You can fix any nail. You can't fix something where there is no acrylic. So do not discourage it. Don't get discouraged. You just got to learn how to shape and eventually lay your acrylic well enough so that you don't have to do so much hand filing. Now, when you do this with an E-file, it's much easier. Y'all see that? See how she's even on all sides? Okay. Now I'm going to work on the cuticle area. The cuticle area, remember, we need to have an apex. Where's my apex? You see it? You see how it's starting to go up? We don't want to get rid of it, so leave that area alone. Save it for last. Worry about your cuticle area. So I'm going to file in a U shape around this area. Okay, in a U shape around the cuticle. Remind me not to wear these bangles no more. They just are jangling. Y'all see how this nail is starting to get slimmer and much more shapelier? Okay. Again, once you get good at this, you won't have to be doing all this hand filing. Just make sure this is. And then blend everything together. This is a salon style sculpted nail. This is not no exotic shape. This is just what you're going to be doing at State Board. Okay? And there you go. See how she was a little thick in the beginning, wasn't she? I do a lot of sculpts, a lot of shaping. Then you're gonna take your buffer, buff everything out to make it smooth. So, do we have an apex? We definitely have an apex. We start at the cuticle area, slope up, and then it goes out. Do we have sidewalls? We definitely have straight side. Are they not straight? All right. What about my C curve? Do I have a C curve? Yep, I got a C curve. All right. And I would have made this a lot thinner. The only problem is this is on the stick. Had I, and I couldn't, it's not a real finger, y'all. So I got my C curve. Is the underside clean? There's no acrylic that fell down underneath the underside. So there you go. You got a very, very strong, properly structured salon style square nail. This is not an exotic shape. Okay. And then you would dust this off, clean it with alcohol, and continue on with your polish application. Okay. So this is what you got to do at Stay Bored. You got to sculpt one nail, and then you've got to remove that one nail. Okay. And removing it is again, that's probably the hardest part of this State Board, if you ask me. It's very nerve-wracking because you got 20 minutes, but you got to soak this off. You don't got no e-file, no nothing. You got a file in your hands and the strength that you got. Okay. So y'all ready? Y'all ready to sculpt? Yeah.
At State Board, are they gonna use the measures?
No. You're going to be very surprised at what passes at that State Board. You're going to look at your neighbor and go, she passed? What? Okay. So that's what you guys are going to be doing today. I don't know if we have a lot of sticks.
Yeah, everybody got one.
But if not, you guys can put it,
can take 'em off.
you can also do this on your hands. But we want to show you guys how to do the tape method. I showed Naomi how to do it because she came on Saturday, and I totally forgot to show you guys how to do the tape method.